The Salem Witch Trials of 1692 and 1693 are the most famous witch trials in America and perhaps even the whole world. This is The Thing About Salem, and I'm Josh Hutchinson.
And I'm Sarah Jack. Our ancestors experienced the Salem Witch Trials.
And we're here to talk about their experiences and the experiences of the other 1,400 or so people involved in the Salem Witch Trials in every capacity. Every week, we're going to give you a new episode where we talk about one facet, event, or person from the Salem Witch Trials.
Be ready to download our episodes every Sunday. You should know us from the podcast Witch Hunt, now The Thing About Witch Hunts.
We have about 200 episodes that you can go play right now and enjoy. On that show, we give in-depth coverage of all the witch hunts around the world. Here today, we're just going to focus in on the Salem Witch Trials, and that's what we're going to talk to you about every Sunday from now until forever.
Thanks for joining us over here, and we look forward to engaging with you with this podcast too.
We're so excited that you're here for our first episode, where we're going to talk today about Tituba, an enslaved woman belonging to Samuel Parris, the minister of Salem Village. And what happened with her, you may have seen some of it in the Crucible. It's not entirely accurate. We're going to center in today on three really, really pivotal days in Tituba's life that got the ball rolling on the entire witch hunt. But first, a little bit of background information. We need to go to January 1692, the household again of Samuel Parris, minister in Salem Village, a community of farms that was just to the west of the main town of Salem. Samuel's daughter, Betty, who's about 9 years old, and his niece, Abigail Williams, who in real life is about 11 years old. She's older in the Crucible, and that's a bit of a change. So it's a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old in the household of Samuel Parris get sick. His other two children, Thomas and Susanna, do not get sick. But Betty and Abigail start getting up to all kinds of mischief and hijinks and just doing irregular things like bark like dogs and quack like chickens and roar like sheep and those kinds of things. And they're hiding under tables. They're scaring everybody by trying to walk into the fireplace. They want to just go right into the hearth. They want to go into wells. There's all kinds of just this shenanigans going on. Nobody knows what's triggered this colossal change in their behavior all of a sudden. Today we might think, oh, is that their adolescence? Of course their behavior is changing. But then it was a sign of something more sinister happening. So they didn't know what was going on for about 6 weeks. Nobody knew what was going on. Physicians would come over and look at Betty and Abigail, and they couldn't come up with a medical diagnosis for them. So Samuel Parris, his family, other ministers, and other villagers are coming together in the house. They're doing fasts. They're praying. Nothing's working. 6 weeks go by. Another physician comes over to the house, possibly Dr. William Griggs of Salem Village, who lived maybe a mile down the road. He's very convenient to be the guy that comes along. And so possibly Dr. William Griggs decides that the girls, they're not sick in a natural way. They're under an evil hand. Just like that one, Sarah. So what does it mean that they're under an evil hand?
The devil has come to Salem.
The devil's in Salem. He's been lurking all around all this time, according to Samuel Parris's sermons that he's been preaching over the winter. The devil's out. He's roaring like a lion, and he's prowling the village, the area he wants to take Christians to his side and flip the church from Christ's to the devil's church.
And he started in the Parris household?
It all started in the Parris household with a sickness and a mystery. So what do the people do with this new information that they're under an evil hand? Well, that probably means that there's a witch involved. Unless Satan's doing it directly, he's using one of his agents on Earth, which is more common for him to do. So if there's a witch, what do we do now? We have to identify who is bewitching the children, because it's all about the children. So the next day, Samuel Parris, his wife Elizabeth, they both leave the home. They go to another village to attend a lecture. While they're away, neighbor Mary Sibley comes over. And she says to Tituba and to the other enslaved person in the household, John Indian, let's bake a cake. Sounds fun, right? Harmless, innocent, decent fun for everybody. Let's bake a nice, tasty cake and eat it.
Well, maybe the girls will calm down for a minute and have a bite of cake.
Yes, exactly. But they might not want to bite this cake because there's a special ingredient in this cake, which is
Urine from the afflicted girls.
urine
From the afflicted girls.
from Betty and Abigail. Their pee is being baked with rye flour into a little thing that they're calling a cake. And what do they do after they bake the cake?
They feed it to the dog.
Some poor dog has to eat this pea cake?
We call it a witch cake.
They just called it a cake. It's referred to in multiple ministers' writings. It's also in the merchant Robert Caliph's writings. But Deodat Lawson, who was visiting the village in March and the beginning of April, wrote a book about his experience. And he wrote down that he had been informed about this cake experiment while he was there. And he says they baked a cake out of rye meal and the urine of the afflicted girls, and they fed it to a dog. And that was supposed to identify the witch. Not sure how it was supposed to identify the witch. Might have called the witch to the home where the cake was being baked. It might have made the witch ill or injured the witch in some way that would be noticeable. So people would put two and two together and figure that one out. That person over there is suddenly injured. Maybe they're the witch. Or they could have been transferring the affliction from the people, Betty and Abigail, to the dog.
I want to say that there's a lot of things that we'll be able to compare from the Salem Witch Trials to other witch trials in New England, but the witch cake, we cannot, because this is the only record known right now of a witch cake in New England.
And so somehow, while this happens, the witch is supposed to be identified. And this happens the next day. But first, another thing about the witch cake. A month after it's baked, Samuel Parris finally gets wind that Mary Sibley was involved. He calls her out for it in church after he holds the private meeting with her first to discuss it. And she confesses that she did it, and the church forgives her for it. Forgives her for using magic. But Samuel Parris, he says that this is basically going to the devil for help against the devil. So Samuel Parris says that by this means, the baking of the witch cake, the devil hath been raised amongst us, and his rage is vehement and terrible. And when he shall be allayed, silence the Lord only knows. These are the minister's words. This is what he wrote down in his record book. So we have this for posterity. We know he says this. He's blaming the entire incident on Mary Sibley and Tituba and John Indian. So February 26th, the day after the baking of the witch cake, the girls do start naming witches. They start saying they're seeing the shapes of different people come to them. The shapes or specter of different village people are coming to the girls and hurting them and tempting them to sign the devil's book. So the girls in the Parris household, the first person that they look at is right in their own home. It's Tituba, of course. Tituba is the most vulnerable person in Salem Village to a witchcraft accusation because she's at the epicenter. She's enslaved. She's an indigenous woman, so a minority. English wasn't her first language. She probably spoke a language indigenous to South America or the Caribbean, where she most likely was from, and learned English. So all of these things could count against her. She wasn't born a Christian, another mark against her. So she's very vulnerable. She's one of the usual suspects that if you were saying, like, who could be a witch in this town? Yeah, let's go with Tituba, and let's go with Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne. And the three of them are the first to be named. Sarah Good's an itinerant beggar. Sarah Osborne's reputation has been tarnished in the village because after the death of her first husband, she bought out the contract of her own indentured servant and married him. So that was considered scandalous. So anyways, the three usual suspects get rounded up. And this is happening February 26th that these women are named. This changes Tituba's life forever, irrevocably, in the most major ways. By the end of this, she'll live in a different place. She gets lost in the historical record, and we don't know what happens to her, but we do know that she spends from the 1st of March, 1692 until late May, 1693 in jail because of this accusation.
Sarah Good is on multiple memorials, but Tituba has not had her name anywhere until this year. So we're really excited. The House of the Seven Gables opened a memorial brick opportunity this past year. You could purchase a brick to memorialize a loved one. Our nonprofit, End Witch Hunts, wanted a way to recognize Tituba. So she has a brick there, and there is beautiful footage of that brick by Mary Louise Bingham on her YouTube channel, Sarah Wild 1692, which we'll have that link in the show notes. But you should and can go see the brick that says, in memory of Tituba. It's in the walkway at the House of the Seven Gables in Salem.
So go see it, and when you go see it, take some pictures and put them up on social media. We'd love to know about your experience there.
Thank you for joining us for our first episode of The Thing About Salem.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming back next week, too.
We're going to be putting out episodes every Sunday.
And we have an exciting opportunity for you. You can join our Patreon club. Be a member. It's free to sign up. You'll see posts there. But if you want the real bonus goodies, all the extra stuff, the behind the scenes, the extra talk on episodes, questions answered, things like that, please join a membership tier of our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/aboutsalem.
And check out our other podcast, The Thing About Witch Hunts, with nearly 3 years of weekly content, plus free bonus episodes.
So there's nearly 200 episodes there. Go check it out. See you next time.
See you next time.